Our oceans are becoming more and more polluted every day. Each year, 8 million metric tons of new plastic ends up in the ocean, and the amount of plastic in the oceans will soon outnumber the population of fish. Most of this plastic ends up in the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, which covers an area twice the size of Texas and contains an estimated 1.8 trillion pieces of trash. This is obviously a huge problem, but how can we stop it? Can our ocean be saved, or is it already too late? Before we go on, make sure to like this video and subscribe to Tech World. Let us know in the comments below what you think about this brilliant idea. Now, let's get into it. Oceans around the world have been getting polluted for decades, but it's become much worse in the past few years. 2 million tons of waste are emptied out into bodies of water across the globe every day, which is about the weight of 6.8 billion people. The amount of plastic in our oceans has tripled since the 1960s, amounting to over 5 trillion pieces of plastic across the world's seas. However, plastic is not the only problem. The most common type of pollution affecting our oceans is chemical. This is mostly from pesticides and fertilizers used in agriculture, but industrial plants also release metals and solvents into streams too. It is nearly impossible to measure how much chemical pollution is really affecting the oceans, but scientists have been able to see these toxins' effects through the rise in dead zones. These zones have lower oxygen levels than normal, which can destroy the ocean's ecosystems. Oil spills can contribute to the creation of these zones, with over 700 million gallons of oil entering the oceans every year. That's enough to fuel over 60 million cars. Other types of pollution are also playing a big role in clogging up the oceans. Plus, not all pollution can be seen by the naked eye. Noise pollution from sonar devices has a huge effect on the oceans by impacting communication between marine animals. Plastic pollution is believed to only get worse. Millions of plastic products are already thrown into our oceans every year, with over 300 million plastic bags in the Atlantic Ocean alone. Scientists predict that by the year 2025, there will be 1 ton of plastic for every 3 tons of fish. And by the middle of the century, the amount of plastic products in the ocean is expected to outnumber the population of fish. The recent COVID-19 pandemic may even speed up this process with the widespread use of face masks and plastic gloves. Recycling decreased due to the economic crisis too, especially in the United States, which is one of the leading contributors to plastic pollution. While this seems bleak, researchers are working hard to create a solution to the pollution problem. Because of ocean currents, most of this waste ends up in the Great Pacific Garbage Patch, which is floating in between North America and Japan. Currently, the amount of pieces of plastic waste in the patch is 6 times the population of the sea life in the area. That number will likely keep growing in time, with studies showing that the plastic in the Great Pacific Garbage Patch is increasing exponentially. According to a study conducted by the non-profit organization known as the Ocean Cleanup, the majority of plastic in oceans comes from only about 1,000 rivers. That accounts for only 1% of the amount of rivers worldwide. Most of these rivers travel through largely populated cities or coastal areas, which is how they pick up the waste and carry it to sea. A couple of these rivers are apparently acutely contributing to this increase in plastic, including the Nile and Niger rivers in Africa. The Yangtze River in China is also a main contributor, since it travels through some of the most densely populated areas in the nation. Specialists have been trying to solve this issue for decades, and the Ocean Cleanup has finally come up with a potential solution: the Interceptor. In 2016, the Ocean Cleanup introduced a solar-powered machine to help alleviate plastic pollution in our waterways. The invention itself was created from plastic collected in the ocean and aims to continue reducing waste. The long barrier of the Interceptor allows any garbage to travel into the opening of the machine. The trash then passes through the interior conveyor belt, which removes the debris and places it into the main shuttle. It has the capacity to remove 50,000 kilograms, or about 110,000 pounds of garbage per day, which is the weight of almost 9 elephants. That trash is then distributed across 6 different bins with the help of sensors. Once the bins reach their maximum capacity, the Interceptor automatically sends a text message to operators in the area to take the collected debris. All of the waste is then shipped to various local facilities to be recycled or discarded in the most sustainable way. While the creators of the Interceptor are not entirely sure what they'll do with the massive amounts of waste, they are looking into using at least a portion of the debris to create recycled goods. Only 3 interceptors are operating today, but the ocean cleanup is currently working with nations across the world to install more of them as soon as possible. Their very first interceptor is still the Cengkareng Drain in Jakarta, Indonesia, which has stayed in the river since 2016. That same year, another interceptor was introduced in one of the most polluted rivers in the world, the Klang River in Malaysia. Then, in August of 2020, the most recent one was placed in the Rio Ozama, located in the Dominican Republic. A single machine comes with a steep price tag of about $777,000. However, that seems like a small price to pay when compared to the economic toll that plastic pollution in the ocean takes. While the Interceptor is the ocean cleanup's biggest project, they are still planning a lot of new initiatives that will launch in the next few years. As an organization, the ocean cleanup has set a pretty high bar for itself. Their plan is to collect 90% of the plastic garbage in the world's oceans, as well as stop 80% of plastic from traveling through rivers into the sea. That's why the Interceptor is not their only idea. After years of developing new technology, its members started a cleanup project known as System 001 in September of 2018. The system was built in order to address the massive amounts of waste in the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. The 610-meter, 2,000-foot-long machine started in San Francisco Bay and was expected to travel through the patch to collect the floating plastic. A screen was connected to the bottom of System 001 to pick up the garbage over a 5-week period, with a group of members from the organization on board to guide it safely. Unfortunately, despite 5 years of research that the ocean cleanup conducted prior to the launch, a portion of the machine detached during the voyage. The team and the system had to cut their trip early and return to shore. The organization quickly began to redesign the model of the system in order to understand what went wrong. Finally, they ended up with a modified version of the original, known as System 001/B, which set sail in July of 2019 and returned in November of that same year. Although the trip was not perfect, the team was able to see exactly what had to be fixed in order to get it right the next time. Currently, the ocean cleanup is working on developing System 002, which they are confident will be their best and last prototype system. It will be a full-scale project that is much larger than the original System 001, with tweaked technology that can retain the collected plastic until it returns back to shore. Unlike System 001, which was meant to be out at sea for a little over a month, System 002 will be active in the water for multiple years. Its creators hoped the project would be completed by 2020, but there's still a bit of work to be done before it's ready to leave the shore. Getting rid of ocean pollution is a huge job, which is why the organization is encouraging everyone to take part in this project. Donations can go a long way to help support their work. You can also contribute to their efforts by buying their sunglasses that were made directly from plastic in the Great Pacific Garbage Patch. How do you think we can save the world's oceans? Could the Interceptor and the System 002 be the solution? Let us know in the comments section down below. If you haven't already, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe to our channel. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.